later with confidence. We're one of the kind of top 250 organizations just in the whole United States in the amount of money we're able to raise. So it was a long road getting here. But there's still people. They're like, no, I want to watch a little more. Get a little bigger, do something a little different. And then sometimes you just have to move on. You have to encourage yourself and say, this might be someone who just doesn't care about our cause and is never going to care about our cause.
Right. Yeah, it's incredible. We always hear from people that always say, "Oh, let me see if you're successful first before I do something," right? And then and then they always find something else, anyways, even if you're be able to become successful. I'm glad that we can relate on that. And we have one more question that we have time for from our chat. But as you mentioned, you've helped already 11 million people, but it's actually only 1/70th, right, of the total work that your goal and your vision is. And I'm asking this question because a lot of times when it comes to people's finances, they also have that same sentiment, right? They, or even like whether it's losing weight or saving money, you get started a little bit but you don't see the results right away, right? Especially compared to your really big goal. How do you celebrate what you've already accomplished, even if though doesn't matter how far it is from your big goal, but how do you fighting for your ultimate vision or your big dream at the end?
Yeah, that's great. That's why I love that quote, because you do these small things and you keep doing them because you're right. And then one day you look back and say, wow, 11 million people. That's 500 Madison Square Gardens full of people. That's more than New York City and the boroughs.
Yeah.
Then we kind of go back to today. Okay, what is the task at hand today? I was looking through some of your literature over the weekend, and I love some of the stuff that you have to say on debt. Paying down those small debts first. There's a sense of accomplishment. Wow, I did it. And then you take that energy, and then you go on to the big scary one. That feels like maybe you could never pay that down. And you celebrate those wins and those successes along the way. That was something I had to experience myself when I started Charity Water. I came back $30,000 in debt, and it seemed like the worst time to start a charity. And I went on a payment plan and said, I'm not going to let this get in the way of it. I was making nothing at the time. I lived on a closet floor. I ate the version of ramen noodles, and now 13 years in. I get to speak around the world, and my wife and I, we just, every time people give us money, we try to give it to others. I mean, we look at our financial literacy or the income we're able to earn as a way that we can bless others. Someone said to me once about a nonprofit leader many years ago, and I love this. It was, he'd been at it for a long time. He had a wife, he had kids, and this was a shared board member. And she said, every time the board gives him a raise, he just gives it away. And she was so frustrated. And I think he was in a position where he was able to do that. He was able to take any increase in his life and pass it on to people who maybe needed it. So, I think in terms of financial literacy, not maybe in terms of the big houses or the cars or the watches anymore, but how many water projects are my wife and I able to do?
Right.
What does our family legacy of giving look like? So I applaud the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much. So I actually do have to ask one more question. I watched you, I watched you answer to somebody else, and you talked about the importance of giving even when you're in the process, right? You might not be financially secure yet, but why? And you already, maybe sometimes you feel like you're struggling yourself just with your already current expenses and with your situation, especially with COVID-19 like right now. But what's the importance of giving no matter what, no matter what your socioeconomic status is?
I think it's a muscle that needs to be worked out. It's like, going to the gym. There's a lot of people that say, well, maybe I'm going to wait to do that, or I'm going to wait to get fit or get healthy because I don't have the time now. And, I think you were talking about, there's a very famous entrepreneur, and we won't blow him up, but his life's ambition is to own the New York Jets. He wants to own this football team that has stunk for a long time, and he wants to make them great. And this was a driving ambition for him financially, building his company, putting away the money to buy a football team. And I remember saying to him, but you're missing out. you're missing out on all the good you can do in the world. That might take you 3 decades. That might take you 4 decades. The owner might not even want to sell to you, right? And you could get involved in a bunch of organizations, ours and others. And this guy turned out to build dozens of wells, dozens of schools. He's young. He's in his late 30s, early 40s now. And, because of that approach, he now gets to live vicariously through his money at work in the world now. It's not going to stop him from owning the football team. And in fact, if anything, generous people attract wealth. They attract talent.
Wow.
Being generous is one of the most attractive things that you can be. So I would argue that him sitting on the board of charities and bringing that into his business life will pay off, in a way that you might not even imagine, as people just want to work with generous people. So yeah, I would say it's a muscle. We have a monthly giving community called The Spring. It's probably the best way that people can help Charity Water. You could just go to thespring.com. And we have a lot of people who are giving $5 a month.
Right.
And that may not seem like, so much to a lot of people, but they get a couple people clean water every year. So just imagine that at the end of 12 months, 2 human beings go from dirty water to clean water. Now, how would you even put a price on that? I think it's the act of giving, which we encourage. And my favorite saying around this is, the more you give, the more you give. It's not the more you give, the more you get. It's the more you give, the more you want to give. Oh, wow. What's the next opportunity I could find to take maybe even a very small amount of resource and bless somebody with that?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time, Scott. We look forward to hopefully partnering with you more, because we know that financial education and financial literacy is highly, impacted or highly correlated with charitable giving as well. And so we promise to do our part to help more organizations like Charity Water. Thank you so much again.
God bless you, and thanks for listening, everyone.
And now I'm going to introduce